are back again on the podcast that we call Do You Have It with Alexandria Bolufe and myself, Kim Bolufe. Today I have a very special guest for you. You are just going to love who I'm going to introduce you to right now. This is Tom Winterburn, the one and only, the leasing extraordinaire. Hi, Tom. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
All right, we're going to get to hear your story and what you've accomplished in your life because this is the Do You Have It podcast. I love to hear about the rags and riches story and how we met. So let's talk a little bit about your background first.
Okay.
All right.
How did I get into leasing?
How did you get into being the leasing extraordinaire that you are?
Oh, thank you. I attended college at Youngstown State University, and afterwards I moved out to LA for a while. Then as I came back...
Get a little closer so we can hear you better.
As I came back, my mother had a close relationship with Ed DeBartolo Sr.'s daughter, Marie Denise. And so unbeknownst to me, I thought I was coming home for Thanksgiving, and she had set up an interview for me with Ed DeBartolo, which I didn't really realize at that time. He owned 43 shopping malls. And I went, and I was a nervous wreck, and it was a Sunday. He was in a three-piece suit. He shook my hand like a limp fish, and he said, "Put on a tie, and we'll see if you like it on Monday." So I did. I canceled my trip back to LA, to LA, and my career started there. It was a dismal career because I started off with a vacant strip center in Lima, Ohio. I would have to drive out there every other week, knock on doors, and try to fill a vacant strip center that was total visqueen. It had a Hills, a service merchandise. Within a year, I had it full. Then I advanced to my first mall, which was their worst mall out of 42 in Toledo, Ohio. And then I got another mall down in Springfield by Wright-Patterson Air Base. Then I also picked up a mall in Richmond, Indiana. So then I had 3 malls at the time, one in four, Lima, Toledo. So anyway, I get an opportunity to take over some malls in Dallas, Texas. So I get a promotion. I go to Dallas. I had 2 malls in Dallas. And then we had a leasing rep that left us on the West Coast. So not only did I pick up Texas, I ended up picking up California, Oregon, and Washington. So now I went from 4 malls to 9, and I had 2 leasing reps that lived on the West Coast. So those were some crazy days because I would travel for 2 weeks to Texas and LA, then I would go up to Seattle.
But did you have a vision going in as a young man into the leasing world? And those shopping centers that you went and built and fully had tenants in there, was it because you had a vision? Did you believe that it was more than what a regular shopping mall would be? How would you choose the correct tenants, knowing that they would pay their rent and be successful?
That's a great question because it varied depending on the markets and the malls. So if I was working in Portland, Oregon, it's very rustic, very outdoorsy. We're looking for a tenant that's going to be able to sell boots, outdoor equipment, things that
Hiking
fit
stuff.
the neighborhood. Seattle was much different. I had malls up there that were much more high profile because you had Boeing there, a lot of money. And then I had a mall in Palm Springs, which we had a Saks Fifth Avenue. We had a Maxime's Hotel from Paris. So there we put in Louis Vuitton. We fit the mix to the mall, and we always looked to diversify our mix with approximately 15 to 20% local tenants. That gave it a different flair. Every mall gets the nationals, but it was the local tenants that really made a difference. And we would go out searching for the right merchant for the market to put into the mall.
And what would you look for? How would you know that when you went into the local market that you would find that diamond?
I'll tell you the truth. It was, I would say 9 out of 10 that we would find did not make it. We would do our best to qualify the tenant financially, but more importantly, getting to know the owners of the local stores, and if they had the passion, they had the knowledge, they had the merchandise that set them apart from all the national chains, we knew we had a great shot. And that's when we found Bolufe at Alexandria Park. And you were selling those $500, $600 leather jackets. And we thought, boy, this is going to be a huge hit in Boca Town Center, which I was one of my centers that I leased for years.
So what it is that you have an eye, you have an instinct. So you're saying that you would visit these local shopping centers. And again, you met me at Meisner Park, my very first store, many years ago. How many years ago was that, Tom?
About 20 years.
All right, 20 years ago. And when you walked into my very first real big store, what was the impact? What was it that made you stop and say, you know what? This is a diamond.
You. Basically you. I was much younger, and we both were.
Yes.
You were quite attractive, but brilliant in when you took us through the store, your confidence, your knowledge of your merchandise, your knowledge of the business all came out immediately. And that's why we went after you. And we went after you in a hard way because you were operating out of 1,100 feet and we were showing you a space for 2,000 square feet. So we knew you would have to expand your inventory, your depth of your merchandise. And we took the chance and you proved yourself. And I believe you did about $2 million your first year in that 2,000 feet. And that was well above the mall average at the time. The mall average was doing about $650. So we knew we had
a diamond
in the rough.
And what was your position at the time?
I was at that point, I was the senior vice president of leasing for the Southeast region, which encompassed all of the Florida malls. And I think at that time when we acquired Boca in like 1990, trying to think what time it was. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 1980, because we expanded with Nordstrom's and then brought your mother in right after for the Bolufe. But yes, we repeat the rest of the question.
What your role was at the time?
Oh, yeah.
It was for Simon, right? Simon Malls?
Yeah, that was after Simon bought DeBartolo out in 1996 when Hurricane Andrew took one of our malls down. I went from the West Coast of the United States leasing to Florida to rebuild that shopping mall. It was a real chore, let me tell you, because that market had been destroyed.
Wow.
And we ended up pretty much forcing a lot of tenants to reopen based on their leases.
So, Tom, because of your experience, and not just your experience, but your instinct as a man that goes after a business that you see the true potential and the possibilities for that business. I was one of those lucky ones that you would walk into my boutique in Meisner Park over 20 years ago, and you would recognize immediately because of my passion. Now, you're very passionate about what you do. So, of course, you're going to recognize that in another entrepreneur, someone that's really in love with their craft or their business. So when you walk into a business such as mine and you see how I just take you through the store, like you mentioned, you're able to, in seconds, not minutes, you're able to evaluate and say, wow, this is something. And then that's how you became so successful with the malls that were underneath you. All the malls that you controlled, right? Tell them what your title was.
I ended up as senior vice president of leasing for the entire Southeast United States. I had 28 malls at the time, and I had about 7 leasing people reporting to me. Wow. And yeah, getting back to the eye for the tenant, it wasn't just the merchandise, it was the build out, the way that the fixtures were positioned, the way, if it was, I've been in stores where you can't walk through it, where everything's just clumped together. you could tell when somebody has it, and you had it. And that's, I got to say, I expanded a lot of tenants that I found as a one-off into chains. And that was the most gratifying thing of leasing malls. Cerise Menswear, Mayer's Jewelers. We had probably, there was an optical operation that I put in Dadeland, and then we went and did 5 more stores. I had perfume stores that and I remember all of the people. It's been 20, hell, I haven't been doing this. I left Simon in 2010, but I remember them all distinctly, especially Kim Bolufe.
Well, what it is what you're describing is that you have this human connection. Not only can you recognize talent, true potential, but you're able to help that tenant also with the same vision expand and grow. And you're looking for passion because you have passion for it yourself. So you're looking for that passion in the tenant. If the tenant doesn't have the passion and just has a store full of merchandise, it's never going to be special.
100% correct. Yeah. And the best thing I can say, I never made a deal. I tried not to ever make a deal that wasn't right for both parties. Like I wouldn't take a Mayors to a shopping mall in a small marketplace because they are looking for, they're selling Rolex, they're selling $20,000 bracelets. I mean, I would only take them to the very top, like Battaglia Shoes. He sold Brioni, or he sold Testonis. He sold all the best brands of shoes. We actually extended him into a couple centers that didn't work, and it hurt my feeling. Barry Hanna was the owner. He's since passed, but he was a great friend, and I looked out for him as much as I could. He was in Aventura, Dadeland. All the best. Yeah.
So it's something that's within you that you have that's instinctual. Because is this something that was taught to you, how you would be able to recognize those things that would make a successful tenant in one of your malls? Is it something you were taught, or do you believe that you have this?
Yeah, I think I had it.
All right, there you go. Do you have it? Yes, he does.
I got it. I promise you I got it.
Of course you do. We know that. You wouldn't be on this podcast if you didn't have it.
And thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
I love to talk about myself a lot. But basically, yeah, it like after I leased that plaza back in the day, I was making less money than I did selling cars for my stepfather. He had a Cadillac dealership. But anyway, they told me at the end of the year that you've taken to leasing like a duck takes to water. And they gave me a whopping $5,000 bonus. And I knew I was on my way. Yeah, now today, I love walking through malls and seeing the new tenants, the new merchandising, to see if I think it's going to work. Just like Psycho Bunny. The judge is still out on that. That just opened in Boca.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's going to make it. Of course, I went in and bought a couple things for my kids, but yeah. So I love walking malls still. Most men hate it. I look at it as really, I'm going to see how good they are.
You're looking at the business of it.
Let's tell a little quick story. So I haven't seen Tom for a long time. Like, say, it's got to be 20 years, right?
Yep.
And I'm sitting in the lemongrass in Delray Beach having sushi, and someone comes up behind me and says, Kim Bolufe, do you own the Bolufe stores? And I say, yes, I do. And he says, Tom Winterburn. Now, I may forget a lot of faces, a lot of people, because I meet thousands of people, but I would not forget that name, Tom Winterburn. I put my hand to my heart and said, I just want to thank you so much. Because of you, you gave me my first really, really big opportunity for me to be on the map. And from there, I opened up multiple stores. And I would say it's like we never stopped talking. We walked through the mall with Tom, And just as he just mentioned, he loves looking at all the retail
And so does
stores.
Kim. Kim loves that as well.
Well, of course I love that because when I was a little girl, I would look at all the malls and how they were built and the merchandising, and I would say to myself, I will have this one day when I grow up. And as long as you stay focused and you really love it, and again, right, Tom, it's the passion, you will have it. And no one can stop someone with that type of determination, right?
Yes. So now I work for clothes. I'm helping Kim once again, and it's my passion. I love doing it. So we're doing some leases.
Yes.
We're relocating in Meisner and then renewing or relocating. We don't know yet for sure down in Del Rey. So, and I get this.
You know, he has it on the inside, that's for sure. So we definitely want him to look like he has it on the outside. You know,
Yes, let me interject.
Tell me.
The jeans I have on today, I would have never purchased in a million years. They're those stretchy jeans. I'm 67 years old. I'm used to the baggy jeans. And all of a sudden, she puts me in these. They're the most comfortable MAC jeans I've ever worn. They look great. And now I'm doing shirts and jeans. And I'm ready, I think, now for some accessories.
okay, what about the sports jacket?
I have so many that I don't wear, but
We are going to slowly but surely.
They're probably too big for you anyways. They're the boxy cut.
they've got the pads in the shoulders.
Yeah, no.
They're from probably 30 years ago.
That's what I was thinking.
And that was my Armani and Canali days. But yes, now I'm a Bolufe man.
Yes, we'll
That's
update.
right.
We'll
We're going to update
it.
because it's a contemporary look. And if you wear the silhouettes from the past, it'll just age you and it'll make you look even more mature.
Good point.
Yeah.
I want to look young.
Well, you're definitely young at heart and you have all this energy inside of you. So tell me, right now, as you walk through the mall, do you see anything that makes you feel like, you know, I miss the business, even though you're so busy? You're retired, but you're really not retired.
Yes, because I have a couple fast food Asian restaurants.
Let's talk
in the
about
malls.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a great relationship with a fellow that I put into quite a few malls based out of Orlando. Biagio Sciano owns Food Systems, and he has about 55 to 60 Asian fast food restaurants. So I did probably 25 to 30 of those deals for him, and we became very close. And then when I semi-retired from the shopping mall business, he said, "Why don't you come with us and we'll get you started." And then I became a partner in the Boca store. And it's been just a really rewarding thing. I opened my first store in February of 2014 in West Palm Beach Outlet Mall. I opened one in Fort Lauderdale Galleria, and I'm a partner of the corporate store in Boca. They do extremely well. They have a very good margin. And I'm living happily ever after. So, yeah, that's my
Didn't
story.
fully get away from the malls. You couldn't stay away.
No, but I don't like what they're doing in some of the food courts. They're leasing to tenants that don't fit the market, and they'll fail. I mean, I see it. I know it. I actually put somebody right next to me in Boca, and I have a funny feeling he won't be there in a year. And that's just not right. You know, when you miss merchandise, it's just painful for both parties.
Oh, totally. We've even experienced that. Sometimes the leasing people put in stores that don't fit the vibe and it brings down the whole area.
Yes.
Or they bring in competing types of stores
It's
that hurt everyone.
That's an excellent point.
Yes. Ibo's on target.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent point. The mix of tenants shouldn't compete with one another. Of course, if it's an upscale mall, all the tenants have to carry upscale pricing, merchandise. Very
Yes.
important. When you're in Boca Town Center, when you walk into Boca Town Center, you know this is a special mall. High end. It fits the demographics.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah. And what's really, really amazing about Boca is that we previously had a Sears in there. We previously had a So those wings are actually merchandised to the moderate.
Yeah.
So then you go to Louis Vuitton, you go to Cartier, you go to Gucci, and you go to Neiman Marcus. So you've got the extreme upper end, but they brought it down to, I would say, what's really good for the middle class income, so that people can shop it even if you're not in that luxury category. So that's the amazing thing about Boca. It's probably the second or third most productive mall in the state of Florida, behind Aventura and possibly International
Mall of
Plaza.
America.
Yeah, International Plaza in Tampa, and then there's
What about the Orlando
oh, I'm
one?
sorry, the Orlando Millennium.
Yes,
So
that
it's
one.
right in that realm, but Boca's massive because it's got 5 or 6 department stores, which it's amazing. The department stores don't pay; the small shops pay.
I didn't know that.
They are the attractors.
Ah,
So you have to go out and fight like hell to get them to come to your center and not to the competitive site when you're building a new mall. So they kind of dictate the negotiation.
wow.
But the small shops, they reap the benefits of them bringing in just massive shopping.
So even today, as we walk through Town Center Mall, as not the pop-up stores, but the real 5-10 year leases are still not really small business owners. There's still a lot of
Chains.
yeah, because it's not that easy for a small business owner to take that leap of faith and to know that they can pay those high rents, follow all the rules, and have a ever-changing vibe merchandise in a very demanding demographic type of mall.
Yes,
Is that correct?
absolutely. I would say, like I said earlier, probably maybe not 9, but I'd say 7 or 8 out of 10 that try to compete in that level of merchandising fail. It's that difficult. And you had it. You competed with the best of them in Boca, and then now Meisner Park and Delray Beach. But I'd like to see you get maybe work back into Boca, but we'll see about that.
We'll see.
We're not sure about the malls anymore.
Because we're so busy, and our specialty is very personalized, and that's the other thing. It, as I mentioned on several of the podcasts, when you have passion for what you do and you get to meet the customer and you become part of their experience in their life, the money just comes. It just comes easily. You don't have to work for the money. The money just comes because of your, say, your integrity, your true sincerity when you're styling the customer, and the customer gets to know you. Now, would we want to be a huge chain? At one time we were operating so many stores at the same time. And also we would always choose the best malls, the best shopping centers, paying the highest rents. Because I also knew as a young girl, I can't be next to like Publix and pay $2,000. You have to be in town center and pay $20,000.
That's great.
Right? Because it's the image and it's the confidence I will make it. And also you as the person that finds us, right? Leasing extraordinary Tom Winterburn. You would also have to believe that this is a good match. She can make it. She's going to be able to pay the rent, and she's definitely going to, what did you say when you met me again after 20 years? Help you with the statistics or the ratio per square foot
Yes.
to make the mall even more attractive to future potential tenants.
Yeah, malls are judged by their sales per foot. And when I had 28 malls, I wanted to maximize every square foot of retail space to grow sales. Because if I didn't grow my mall incomes by 4.5% a year, I was in deep trouble. And that's what we budgeted, to grow our region by that much so that we could pay the dividends out to the stockholders. That's how we were rated. And I had to budget every space in every one of those malls with my team. And I can say that for the 12 years that I leased for Simon, I hit my budgets every year.
Wow.
And was rewarded very well with their stock. And, so basically, it was a great run for me. And I would say that, rent is a function of sales. So if you do the sales, you can pay big rent. And I mean, for a ready-to-wear tenant, we always expected, like in your case, we expected a ready-to-wear tenant to be able to pay about 13 to 14% of their sales and be very healthy. But fast food like me, we're expected to pay 18 to 20% because we have pretty good margin and very little overhead. So it's all relative. Each different category of tenant stood differently. Like shoes were different than jewelry, than ready to wear. All of them, we knew from an analytical point of view on a finance scale what they could afford on a percentage basis. And we maxed out the percentage that they could. We'd squeezed it out of them pretty good. But it was I really had a passion and love for leasing.
Well, even today,
Still do.
Yeah.
even today, as we've become good friends, I see how you talk to people, how you greet them, how you connect them. You are a networker, and you're interested in the person's life. You ask about their story. All that is those ingredients is what is needed for that special recipe. That recipe for success. That is so important, to get to know the person or whoever you're talking to. Because as soon as we walked in to do the podcast today, you started asking that stranger everything about his life, and I was like, okay, Tom, we got to get on.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
Even when we went to the mall, he's like, how many square feet is that? He's always thinking.
Oh, yeah.
How many square feet is your store?
He starts going in and starts asking even the sales staff, so how do you do with this product? How long have you been in the store? So many questions, but that's
the way we do it.
That's why he's good at what he does.
You got to do it.
This is why you can never retire, really.
But while I'm on the podcast, I got to plug I'd say my biggest achievement in my life is my two daughters.
Oh,
And
Who are beautiful,
they're,
by the way.
yeah.
yes, they
Little
are.
Carly's
Gorgeous.
in Chicago. I just went and visited her wearing my Bolufe, by the way.
Oh, good.
And then my daughter, Christina, just got a big promotion with McGraw-Hill and moved to Boston on June 1st. So I'm
Amazing.
going to miss her because she was only an hour away before in Pittsburgh. But they both got educated. My oldest got her master's degree in English, and now she's selling textbooks to major colleges, Boston
Wow.
College, the whole bit. She has a whole region. She has 8 people reporting to her. She's
Amazing.
only 32. Little Carly, she just got promoted to international sales analyst for the largest manufacturer of fertilizer in the world.
Wow.
So she's got it's a Fortune 500 company also. So I'm so proud of them. All I did was push them.
Well,
They took it.
let's face it. Do they have it? Of course they have it. They have it because their dad has it. They have your DNA. So
And the example.
And the example, the work ethic, of course. This is what we talk about. And they have passion. Passion is the most important ingredient in driving to become successful. What would you say to your daughters if you were to give them just one paragraph? I would give him a paragraph. He can't say a sentence. You know how Tom is, right?
Listen to your mother.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife, Phyllis, pushed them harder than I was traveling all the time. I was always out meeting with tenants, touring malls, doing what I do. And she raised them, and really she was strict. She was tough, just like your family, just like you growing up. She was the disciplinarian. I was the guy that brought home gifts.
Aww.
So
You're the fun dad.
So who was the one that? Okay, were they closer to you or your wife?
oh boy, I better take the fifth. But I would say
In different ways, I'm sure,
yes,
with each of you.
They were
Same
closer
with
to my wife
parents.
because she was with them all the time. She was there and she was supporting them. She was fighting their battles. Don't ever say something bad about my daughters to my wife.
Aw,
You will be a lifelong enemy.
that's how it should be.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's cool.
Yes. So if you were to give them, a paragraph or less of part of your success, the most important ingredient, what would you say?
I would tell them work ethic is extremely important in your career. And they both have phenomenal work ethics. I would say knowledge is power. Continue to educate yourselves, especially on your expertise in your industry. And just be a good person. Just do the next right thing.
That's very important. When you do the right thing, all types of gifts come right back at you when you don't even expect it. What would you say are the pros and the cons of your business?
Oh boy!
Because Tom,
In the leasing business,
yes, your journey, because your journey had a lot of rocky road too. It's
Yes.
ups and downs, and staying focused and knowing that you're going to it's your choice to put in a tenant that really is a local tenant, like Bolufe, that becomes this, I guess, big brand now all over South Florida.
Yes.
And people from all over the world fly in. So what is it that...
that's the pro. The pro is when you do a deal with somebody that you totally know is going to succeed, and they do. The con is when you do a deal with somebody with the same attitude, same everything, and they fail. And it's just very disheartening and difficult. I've had to negotiate people out of a lot of leases over the years that were really, I thought they had it, but they just got in there and they just couldn't compete with the big boys. And the national chains were a snap. I mean, doing deals with them was like lay out lease plans and just,
Sure, it's easy.
boom, yeah,
It's like plug and play.
took the last deal, add 5%, and boom, there you go. So that was not really a big challenge, but the cons also were the changing, the outside environments that would affect a shopping mall. A competitor building a shopping mall down the street. I mean, we own Palm Beach Mall. They put in City Place. The Gardens came in on top of it. Prior to that, and just destroyed the mall.
Wow.
And then in hindsight, it became a great center after I de-leased it and was deposed for 2 days because we took all the tenants out to redevelop it. That's when everything hit the skids when we had the recession. So they sold it, tore it down, and built Palm Beach Outlet Mall, which I'm now a tenant and doing extremely
funny.
well in there with my
Full circle.
full circle. So you don't know down there, like Dadeland Mall, productive it is. It used to be called Deadland when it first opened. So
We were in
yeah,
Thailand.
it's really amazing over my career watching different centers escalate and different centers decline. So those are the pros and cons.
Well, I'm sure because of the journey you've had in leasing, and this is something that just doesn't end. I mean, it's part of who you are. It's not just leasing. It's meeting people, feeling their potential, knowing they're passionate about something, and how now, these days, you just want to give a helping hand because you're at a time in your life now where you want to give back, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really do anything for compensation in the real estate business anymore. I just love doing it. And I'm to a point now where I don't need it so much. So my stores do well. I've set myself up pretty well financially for my retirement, semi-retirement. Still have 3 stores and I still do some real estate.
Well, you hear
that's
all the
more for
time.
fun.
Yeah.
I actually come down here all winter for 4 to 5 months, and then I
He's
come
a
every
snowbird.
month. Oh yeah, I'm a bird. What's the other one? Snowflake.
Snowflake. Maybe
Snowflake.
you're more like a snowflake.
You're a
since you
snowflake.
said
You're
you
not
come-
really a snowbird. You're a snowflake.
Because you come.
But yeah, I come down as soon as it gets cold, and I fish. Basically, I'm a retired leasing executive that loves to fish. I'm trying to take up golf, but I like fishing much more. I get out in the Atlantic when I'm down here, and then I also have a little boat up on my lake I live on in Ohio. Whole different fishing ball game up there in freshwater.
If
But
you
that's
were
my passion now. My passion
is fishing,
and helping others.
Oh.
well, that's wonderful. But if you were to say redo it all over again, would you do it like this?
Absolutely. I wouldn't change a thing.
All right.
that.
That's the
I
best.
wouldn't change it.
So
It's been a great run.
before we say goodbye to our audience, do you have a pearl that you would like to give everyone listening? I always give a pearl at the end of each one of my podcasts.
A
Yes.
little life advice.
I would say no matter what you're doing in life, if you're not passionate about it, you're not doing the right thing. Get educated. Continue your education, regardless if it's structured college or whatever, but you can self-educate. I'm in business with a fella who never finished high school that owns 60 fast food restaurants because he's self-educated. He's one of the most brilliant people I know without a structured education, but he reads and reads, which I'm the opposite. But anyway, he is just an amazing person, Biagio Schiano. And he's a prime example of self-motivation, and he's got it.
He's got it, and hopefully he'll make it on the podcast because we would love to hear his rags to riches story as well.
He would be amazing. Yeah, you guys have a very similar story. He came here when he was 20 years old without a penny, worked in a pizza shop, ended up buying that shop and opened a couple more, sold those, and started. That was the seed money for his Asian expansion, and did it from not knowing anything.
Wow.
So he's an incredible guy. You would love to have him if we can understand him. He's a little bit broken on the, and he's from Italy. He's from Naples, Italy, and he sells Chinese food.
That is too
That's
good.
hysterical.
Yeah.
But
too
if
funny.
if he speaks English and the audience understands him, we would love to have him on the show.
I'll talk to. I'll see him in Italy in July, so I'll have this plug for you.
And next time you're in the malls to the audience and you're eating the Chinese food in the food court,
Come to Tobu, Tobu.
Could be
Asian eatery.
Tom's.
Yes, and that's in the Town Center Mall in Boca Raton. And the
Galleria
Chinese
Mall.
food there, I have to say, is really good.
I hate how much I love it.
It's the teriyaki.
Oh,
We have
so
we have
good.
the
It's
fresh
like
teriyaki.
annoying.
Yeah, we have teriyaki, then we also have the steam table.
Oh,
And then in West Palm, we just have a small store with just the steam table, Chinese.
that is like truly, and it's funny because I'm Chinese. That's my guilty pleasure. The Chinese food court. Oh,
Yeah, we do the bourbon chicken, lots of bourbon
chicken. That's my favorite.
Yes.
Isn't it
And the
great?
orange.
Yep, that's the number
but the
two.
bourbon
Number one's
chicken.
bourbon, number two's orange is what we sell.
Those are my two.
So a lot of rice.
And the fried rice.
I mean, a very successful food chain operation. Very, very successful. And good for you because in this time in your life, you deserve to have it a little easier, even though you're busy all the time flying back and forth, taking care of the things that only you can take care of. But I want to thank you for being on our show today. I hope you'll come back. We'll invite you again, and we'll have so many more things to talk about. This was just,
Scratching the surface.
that's right. Now, Alexandria, tell everyone how they can find us and where we are.
You can watch our live show on Facebook on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on our Facebook page at Bolufe Boutique. Same with on Instagram. You can follow us at Bolufe Boutique. Our website's bolufeboutique.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and share with our podcast.
And our two locations right now are,
Meisner Park in Boca Raton and Atlantic Ave on Delray Beach.
yes. And I appreciate all of you. Follow, like, rate this, give us a review if you want to hear more stories about the rags to riches. And do you have it? All right, everyone. See you next time. Mwah!